Why am I nervous? My heart is pounding. Silly. Hi guys, welcome back. Wow, it's been 2 years since I last uploaded anything on this channel, and here I am resurrecting it for various reasons and for different purposes. I'm not necessarily going to be posting travel vlogs anymore, because who's traveling right now, unfortunately. If I ever do travel again, I hope to vlog it and we'll probably post it, but right now the focus is going to change directions on this channel, and I want to start making booktube videos. It's something that I've always kind of wanted to do, just never did it. I just never started, I guess. But there are various reasons why I wanted to do this. One mainly being because I have found the booktube world to be seriously lacking. Lacking in the sense that it was one day that I was perusing booktube world, podcasts, anything, that I was trying to find anybody who talked about books and genres and topics that I'm actually interested in, that I want to read, because I don't want to waste my time watching a video talking about books that I will never buy or even have the slightest interest to read. Just a lot of booktubers out there that, yeah, talk about books that I'm just not interested in, and that's, you know, it's fine. Everybody has their own interests and everything. All the ones I've listened to or watched, sometimes I find a good recommendation, and I do watch booktubers. There's some that I enjoy watching, but for the most part, they are talking about books and genres that I don't read or am not interested in. Like the Christian romance, like we're gonna talk about that later. I have read some, especially when I was younger. I read a lot, but right now that's not what I'm interested in anymore for various reasons, and I will maybe talk about that later. But yeah, so there's Christian fiction, Christian romance, fantasy, like these weird otherworldly, I have a hard time with that genre for different reasons, which I can talk about later as well. But basically I just haven't found any that I actually enjoy reading. No. Anyway. Or they are booktubers who just recommend secular books that I will probably never read. Do I read secular books? Yes, actually I do. Some. I'm wanting to build this space because maybe there's at least one other person who had the same problem as me, who couldn't find people who talk about books that are actually worth reading. So, and you know, some people will probably come on here and see that I'm recommending books and think they're not worth reading, and that's fine. But you know, me and that one other person maybe can talk about books that we enjoy, that we actually love reading and think are actually worth our time. So that's why. Who knows, maybe I am the only one who scours the internet for people who talk about books. But anyway, that's me. Like, in my close, actual in-person friendships, there aren't many who are as passionate about books as I am. There's a few, but for the most part, there aren't very many. So going online, wow, such a millennial thing to say. Going online to find that community. But anyway, second reason I'm doing this is because I love to talk about books, and if I have to talk to a camera, I'll talk to a camera. Because like I said, my friends, personal friends that are actually in my life, we talk about books, but it's probably not as much as I'd like to. Love y'all. Yeah, so That's why. Have I even said everything that I need to say about this? Okay. So now that I've listed my reasons as to why I am doing this, I want to kind of give a very, very basic guideline as to what I read and why I read what I read, whatever, like my standards on books. As a believer in Jesus, as a follower of Jesus, I try, and it is my desire, to read, how was it in high school that they said it, that reading everything with biblical specs. So basically, as a follower of Jesus and a believer in the Word of God, I have standards and guidelines, guardrails as to what I read. Basically, basing it off of Philippians 4:8, where it says to think about the things that are true, honorable, just, pure, lovely, commendable, anything with excellence, and anything that is worthy of praise. And so that's what I try to base the books I choose off of. And ironically, sometimes I find Christian books that do not even fit into that category with this verse. Just throw this Christian label on it and it's trash. So yeah, that is what I try to base it off of. And the genres that I like to read, I love history. So I love historical fiction because reading stories is with a lot of history and historical facts woven into the storyline is one way that kind of helps me remember history, actually, because I can just tie it to a character and their lives, even if it's fictitious, like that specific person's life. But then at the same time, I love true stories, I love memoirs, I love autobiographies, I love biographies, because I love learning about people. Everyone has a story, and everyone has a story worth sharing and hearing about. So yeah, I love all of those. And then I love the classics and the old books. Not all, we'll talk about that later, but yeah, I should maybe, one video in the future should maybe do a bookshelf tour so you can actually see my books and what I have. But yeah, I love my classics, biographies, autobiographies, true stories, memoirs. Love memoirs. Wow, those are really good. And then, like I said, historical fiction, and then Christian fiction, which is a little different than Christian romance, which I will talk about later as well. But yeah, Christian historical fiction specifically, I guess. So yeah, those are kind of mostly where I go to for my books, in what I choose to read. But I am willing to give other genres a try. Yeah, and then also read inspirational Christian books, which people normally dump under self-help, but I don't like that because I don't like self-help books. I like to read inspirational books of people who discuss Christian theology and ideas, you know. That's what I like to read. So yeah, there's that. I'm gonna bring it to a close with talking about what I read in June. It is July 9th, so it's a little bit late, but better late than never, right? So I'm gonna talk about the books that I read in June, not necessarily because what I read was so great, but the amount of books that I read was a big deal because it doesn't normally happen for me. But I set an intention to finish a series because I just wanted to finish this series and get on with my reading life and read something different. But this is what I read. Wow, that's a big deal. I read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books in June. That does not happen, people. I'm doing good if I read 3 books a month right now with my current reading life and schedule. But anyway, what I read was The Journals of Corey Bell Hollister by Michael Phillips and Judith Pillow. I guess Michael Phillips wrote the majority, okay, half the books, and he wrote it with Judith Pillow, the first 4. So I read the first one in May, and I wanted to go ahead and read the whole series. The reason why is because I read the first 4 books at home growing up in my teenage years. I read the first 4 books because that's all we had, and I remember thinking back when I finished the 4th book that I was like, man, it kind of ends at a weird spot. Is there no more to her story? Like, did it just end? I was like, I wanted more. And then in my job, which I work at a thrift store and I'm manager of the book department, best job ever, I found the entire series and I was like, what? There's 4 more books? Are you serious? Yeah, I gotta read these. And so I started reading them, or the first book again. I was like, I want to start over and read from the beginning so that I can remember and be refreshed by everything in the story. And I started reading them again, and I was like, wow, these are actually kind of good. I'm not going to keep the series on my shelf because I probably won't read the series again, more because I found them to be really slow. So the Journals of Corey Bell Hollister are a series written, it's like you're reading her journals, literally. It's fiction, but it's like you're reading her journals of beginning of when she and her siblings and mom travel out west to find their long lost uncle, and the mother dies on the wagon trail out west. So these 5 siblings are alone in a strange town trying to find their uncle. They have no idea where he is, and so it starts there, and it just kind of goes through Corey's growing up years, and there's a lot of, like I said, you're reading her journals, and so she's writing down all of her thoughts about different things. She's writing the events that happen in their lives, and what's happening in her world around her and in that time period of the United States history. And so that's why it's a little slow, is because it's writing all of her thoughts and all the events that are happening in her local town and in the country or the nation or the United States. So yeah, they're a good series and they're good quality. I feel like they have good like faith content for young girls, but I just found the reading to be very slow, and getting towards the end of the series, there's just a lot of historical information that could have been, you know, simplified, I guess. But I loved it more because of the nostalgia and just being reminded of my teenage years and reading these, and yeah, check it out if you want. It's like I said, if you want something fast-paced and a lot of action and a lot of things happening page by page, then you probably shouldn't read it, but you know. But yeah, I did love the series. I would probably give it a 4-star review. I didn't actually rate each individual book on my Goodreads account, which by the way you should check out if you want to follow along on what I'm reading. I'll link it down below, my Goodreads account, so you can follow along if you're interested. But yeah, so the whole series as a whole, I would rate it probably 4 stars because it was good, and I loved that it's a clean series, and you just don't really find there wasn't very much in there, even like especially the faith content, that I disagreed with, but like I said, it's just really slow, so I probably won't be reading again. I'm just not gonna keep them on my shelf. But anyway, and then the other book that I read was Warrior Poets of the 21st Century by Robin Mark, the writer of the song Days of Elijah. So yeah, I picked this book up because it came through the store. Most of my books that I'm reading and picking up lately come through the store. But yeah, it's a biblical and personal journey in worship. So he just kind of talks about his journey of leading worship in his church, of how he came to be the worship leader, all of these things. And yeah, it's actually a really good book. I appreciated his thoughts and his perspective on worship, and actually agreed with it, because most books and most teachings on worship out there just don't even come close to what true worship of God is. And he brought out some really good points in this book. I don't know if I can say that I fully agree with all of his theological points. Still processing some of those things, thinking about it. But as a whole, I feel like it's actually a pretty decent book, and would actually recommend it if, yeah, you're wanting a different and maybe better perspective on what true worship is. I like it. What did I rate it? I don't remember what I rated it. Maybe I didn't rate it yet. Oh, I did give it a 5-star rating. I don't remember. I should give it a 4, because usually if I still have questions about some of the content, theologically speaking, I don't give it a 5-star. Yeah. So that is The Warrior Poets of the 21st Century by Robin Mark. Check it out if you want. Is it gonna actually focus? There we go, look at that. So that is what I read for June. 8 books. That was an accomplishment for sure. So yeah, I don't really know what the next videos are gonna look like. If you have any questions or recommendations on what you would like to see, you can comment those down below. And yeah, so I think that my next video will probably be what I want to read in July and some of my reading intentions, but we'll see. So I will probably do most of my recording on Friday, since I don't work on Fridays and I'm at home most of the day. I will probably record on Friday and hopefully post on Friday, but probably won't be able to get them up until maybe Saturday or Sunday. So I'm going to try to figure out my video schedule and when I'll upload it and have a set time. So yeah, I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching and stopping by. I hope you like what I share. If not, you can talk. I like when people talk. Give me feedback and critiquing. So yeah, anyway, I'll see you guys later.